I recently unlocked an artist. Her name is, oh, hope I don't butcher this, Titose. Or I'm not sure, but I'll just leave the name obviously on the review as I usually do. But I just came across this EP on my streaming platform, and wow, yeah, wow, she's from Botswana. She just dropped an 8-track EP that is about to change the game if it's properly promoted. Getting into this thing, there's a track called I Do. This whole thing is produced by a guy called Amo Beats, and wow, it's like listening to something Kanye West would do on the come up while he was still hungry. Not that Kanye is still not producing fire, but that's just how good the production on this thing is. The first track on this thing is called I Do, and it does want to be listened to. It's silky smooth, man. It's a fresh perspective on soul and R&B, according to someone who's still exploring the avenues of music from what I got. And yeah, beautiful beat selection, overarching vocals. This beat is simply fire. It's a proper intro into this EP. The next track is called Put You in Line, and it gave me Kehlani feels, the Dr. Dre scratching type of vibe. Not saying that Dr. Dre is the first person to scratch a CD, but he's the most memorable one. I loved the harmonizing, the consistency and flow of the song, and it just carries on into the EP. And it's honestly the greatest EP I've ever heard since Elaine's. I hope it changes. Yeah, third track on this thing is called Forest. Again, the consistency continues into this Forest. It's like a soul club session, intimate type of vibes. Mic in the middle of everything, people quiet and observing the greatness that is in front of them. And yeah, it sounds intentional, it flows, and it's storytelling at its best. Once more, there's another track called Heart on Fire. It was probably meant to be an interlude because this thing is 44 seconds, but yeah, it's probably a break from a break, if you know what I'm saying. The other track is called Summertime with You. Looping emotions rolled into beautiful keys that Alicia Keys would probably play on one of her platinum selling albums. I like the distant singing, the smart use of autotune on this thing, and yeah, great sound effects throughout that are not overwhelming, but they actually invite you to listen more. The other track on here is called Best Friends, featuring the Big Hash. The Big Hash, I've grown to learn that he's a Cape Townian rapper, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, it's a feel good song to an extent. I love the chemistry. As much as I thought that the Big Hash was a better rapper compared to what he laid on this verse. I mean, it's not a terrible verse, but if you listen to him, you know that there's something in there that he could have laid out. But I'm not complaining too much about that because there's chemistry, and Titose carried this whole thing out. Track 7 is called Strangers. Again, the production demands to be heard. It demands to be analyzed. It demands to be listened to using quality speakers and headphones and all those things. Otherwise, you're gonna miss something. The harmonizing sounds like Teleman is somewhere in there. Listen number 5, and I'm still trying to figure out what I've missed because this thing is so good and it's so layered, and you never know what you might find next. It's like a Christopher Nolan movie. But yeah, last track is called Lights Out, which is relevant. Reminds me of boarding school when it was time to sleep, and yeah, the lights were out. It has nothing to do with the song, but the song is brilliant. And this is how you close an EP. My only reservation was it took me a bit of research and time to find that this person is actually from Botswana, because it kind of sounded so American, and I guess that's what R&B and soul is these days. It's, I don't know, emotionally connected tracks with inspiration from America, but I feel like our continent needs more representation. Like, leave your DNA in the EP so that people can be like, huh, that sounds a bit African. That sounds, I'm not saying go Afrobeat or go Amapiano and all those things, but those things have something in common in terms of you can immediately tell that that person is from there and the identity part is solved. But this thing of us having so much American influence needs to just be dialed down a bit. But however, this is the best thing I've heard in a while, and she's going really far.